You know, life doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. And if this video has found its way to you, maybe it's because one of those whispers has finally become clear enough to hear. This isn't just chance or some random algorithm. It's resonant, something deeper calling your attention. There's an ancient understanding, nearly lost to time, that speaks of a subtle force, a frequency known as the hand of Mercury. And the fact that you're here suggests that, in some way, it has already begun to reach you. That realization carries weight. It means a part of you is ready to access something beyond what the logical mind can easily explain. But this isn't about blindly believing anything I say. Real truth isn't something you accept. It's something you experience. That's why what we're about to do isn't just information, it's an experiment. In just a moment, I'll guide you through a simple test, only 2 minutes long, that you can do wherever you are. No preparation, no special setup, just you. And through it, you may begin to feel, directly in your own body, how this subtle frequency works, how it links your thoughts to your actions in real time. So if something inside you feels curious, stay with me. Because what you're about to experience might quietly shift the way you understand your own mind. But before we go further, I want to hear from you. If your mind could change one thing instant right now, what would you break through first? No need for perfect words, just your truth. Sometimes, the most important answers are the ones we didn't expect to give. You know, sometimes life sends us whispers. If you're here reading this, perhaps it's because one of those whispers has, finally, become audible. I ask that for a moment, you forget the rush, the to-do lists, the noise outside and inside. Just breathe and feel. There is a silent order in things, an invisible current that guides us through the river of events we call life. And what if I told you that your arrival here wasn't a random click, but the meeting point between your search and what was searching for you? And if this encounter isn't by chance, I want to give you the complete map of it. For those who feel it's time to go beyond the signs and master the structure of this mental alchemy, I've prepared the ebook, The Thoth Code. It's a record of the wisdom we'll explore today. By acquiring it, you not only access this code, but you help our mission continue. The link is already waiting for you in the first pinned comment. But in this video, we're going to talk about something deeper. Think about the last few days. That feeling that the air is different. A nameless restlessness, or one of those coincidences that leave you with a smile on your face, thinking, how strange. This isn't your mind playing tricks on you. It's a sign. It's the echo of a question your soul asked long ago, and the answer is finally arriving. We grew up in a world that teaches us to distrust the invisible. If it can't be weighed, measured, or quantified, it probably doesn't exist. We are conditioned to see life as a series of accidents, a bumpy road of luck and misfortune. But honestly, I never fully believed that. I always felt that this view was incomplete. What if that's the great illusion? What if, behind the curtain of the material world, there's an intelligence, a consciousness that weaves the patterns? This consciousness isn't an old, bearded man on a throne. It's in the geometry of a snowflake, in the rhythm of the tides, and most importantly, it pulsates within you. What you feel now, this resonance with these words, is proof. It's a long-forgotten part of you stretching and beginning to awaken. The truth is, you didn't find this knowledge, it found you. It's like a lighthouse that not only illuminates, but seems to search for specific boats in the vastness of the ocean. At some level, perhaps without even realizing it, your consciousness emitted a signal, a longing for more meaning, for a deeper truth. And that signal was picked up. You were detected not by something external watching over you, but by the very wisdom of life that recognized in you the readiness for the next chapter. That feeling of familiarity, as if remembering a childhood song, is confirmation that this wisdom was never outside. It was always yours. This moment, right now, is the starting point. Not for a trip to a distant place, but for the most incredible of journeys. The journey within, a journey that, I promise, will gently dismantle everything you thought you knew about cause and effect, about power, and about who you truly are. That subtle emptiness we sometimes feel, even when life is good. That feeling that a piece is missing from the puzzle. This is not a manufacturing defect. It's a calling. It's the universe creating a sacred space within you so that something new, something more true, can finally be born. That mixture of curiosity and a slight shiver you might feel right now isn't just an emotion. It's your body responding. It's your biology saying yes. It's the activation of a circuit that was dormant, waiting for the right note to vibrate. Think of an old guitar, stored in its case for decades. Suddenly, someone tunes it and plays a chord. The strings vibrate, the wood resonates, and the music fills the silence. Your nervous system is beginning to tune into a new frequency, a calmer and more coherent melody than the chaotic noise we've become accustomed to. And this activation is not the final destination. It's the key that opens the first of many doors, a door that takes you from the stands to the playing field of your own life. It leads you to an understanding that you are not a passenger at the mercy of the storms, but the captain who can calmly and consciously adjust the sails and navigate. The ability that is awakening may seem impossible to our logical mind, but to the soul it is as natural as breathing. And to understand how to use this key, we first need to look at the map that accompanies it, a secret code that is not in a book, but imprinted in the architecture of your own body. The secret code in the palm of your hand, this frequency that has reached you, this vibration that seems to call you by name, is not an invisible and ethereal force. It has a form, a structure, a map, and this map is one of the oldest and most misinterpreted symbols in our history, the caduceus. You have seen it countless times, probably associated with pharmacies and hospitals, but its original meaning has been forgotten, almost lost. It is not just a drawing. It is a technological diagram of your own nervous system, an instruction manual for your sacred biology, and understanding this map is the next step in deciphering the power that now pulsates within you. Look at the symbol with new eyes. The straight staff in the center is not just a rod. It represents your spine, the axis of your world, the main channel through which energy and information flow, connecting your brain to the rest of your body. It is your bridge between heaven and earth, between thought and action. When your posture is upright, when your spine is aligned, energy flows freely. When you bend under the weight of fear or worry, this flow is blocked. The staff is the pillar of your life force, the foundation upon which everything else is built. Now, look at the two snakes intertwined around the staff. They are not literal creatures, but a poetic representation of the two primordial forces that govern your existence. They are the polar currents of your autonomic nervous system. One is the snake of action, of the sun, of the sympathetic system, which prepares you to fight or flee, which quickens your heart and fills you with adrenaline. The other is the snake of rest, of the moon, of the parasympathetic system, which calms you, helps you digest, and heals you. Most of us live in a constant imbalance between these two forces, either too accelerated or too exhausted. The secret of the caduceus, the miracle it points to, happens when these two serpents stop fighting and begin to dance. When action and rest, giving and receiving, the masculine and feminine within you, find a harmonious rhythm, a dynamic balance. The frequency you have begun to feel is the sound of this dance beginning. It is your nervous system tuning in, leaving the noise of survival and entering the music of creation. And when this harmony is achieved, something extraordinary happens at the top of the staff. The wings open. The wings are not just an ornament. They symbolize a state of consciousness that transcends duality. It's the mind no longer trapped in this or that, in right or wrong. It's the clarity that arises when the two hemispheres of your brain, the logical and the intuitive, begin to work in perfect synchronicity. Doubt, confusion, paralysis by analysis, all of that dissolves in the light of this unified consciousness. You stop seeing the world in black and white and begin to perceive the infinite range of colors and possibilities that have always been present, but which internal conflict prevented you from seeing. This map, this code, is not just an ancient symbol drawn on papyrus. It is alive, pulsating within you. And most importantly, it is not just a state to be achieved, but an energy to be directed. The activation of this internal circuit has a practical and direct purpose. There is a specific point in your body, a physical terminal, where this balanced energy can be concentrated and transformed into action in the real world. And to understand how to use this terminal, we first need to know the intelligence behind the map, the consciousness that drew the caduceus in the first place. For this map in your body to come to life, for the energy to begin flowing consciously, we need to connect with the source, with the intelligence that designed it. And this intelligence has a name that echoes through the millennia: Thoth. In ancient Egypt, he was not just another god in the pantheon. He was the divine scribe, the master of the word, of magic, and of time. He was believed to be the mind of the universe itself, the architect who, through language and sacred geometry, transformed formless chaos into ordered reality. He was the personification of thought becoming matter. Over the centuries, this same essence has been recognized by other cultures. The Greeks called it Hermes, the winged messenger who traveled between the world of the gods and that of mortals, the master of communication and intellect. The Romans saw it as Mercury, the ruler of the mind, commerce, and speed of thought. Regardless of the name, the archetype is the same. The ability to connect the invisible world of intention with the visible world of manifestation. Having the frequency of Thoth activated within you is to feel this archetype awakened from the depths of your own psyche. This means that the inner magician, the master strategist that exists within each of us, is emerging from the shadows. You begin to realize that you are not a mere passenger, carried along by the unpredictable currents of life. You are remembering that you have always been at the helm, even if you had forgotten it. The hand of Mercury is not an empty metaphor. It is the literal description of this rediscovered ability. It is your capacity to write your reality not with ink and paper, but with the focus of your intention and the clarity of your thoughts, with the precision of a master calligrapher. The signs of this awakening are subtle, yet unmistakable. A mental clarity that cuts through the fog of confusion like a knife. The ability to look at a problem that once seemed an impossible knot and suddenly see the exact thread that needs to be pulled to unravel everything. A new authority in your voice. Not an authority that imposes itself, but one that emanates from a place of inner certainty, causing people to naturally stop and listen. You begin to realize that solutions don't need to be hunted. They present themselves to you when your mind is quiet and receptive. This power is not something you acquire from the outside. It is not a gift bestowed by an external entity. It is the awakening of your own sovereignty. Sovereignty over the most important realm of all, your own mind. You stop being a slave to your reactive thoughts, your uncontrolled emotions, and become the master of your inner state. And when you master your inner self, the outer world begins to respond in a way that seems magical, but is simply the natural law of the universe in action. The law that says the outside world is a mirror of the inner world. All of this may sound like beautiful philosophy, but true wisdom isn't in theory, it's in experience. The beauty of this frequency is that it doesn't demand blind faith. It invites experimentation. There's a way to prove to yourself, physically and undeniably, that this energy is real. There's a practical test, a simple experiment you can perform right now, anywhere, to feel this electrical current of clarity flowing through your own body. And this test only lasts 120 seconds. The 120-second test that could change everything. We've reached a point where words need to give way to experience. Knowledge, when not lived, is merely dead weight in the mind. Now is the time for you to become the scientist of your own inner laboratory and test, in your own body, the reality of this frequency. This is not a mystical ritual requiring candles and incense, nor an act of faith asking you to believe in the invisible. It's a biofeedback experiment, an ancient technique that uses your own biology to create a state of coherence and prove to yourself that you have control over your internal energy. Let's do this together. To do this, we will unite 3 simple, yet powerful, keys into a single act of intention. The first key is a gesture, a mudra. With both hands, gently join the tip of your little finger with the tip of your thumb. The little finger, in ancient wisdom, is the finger of Mercury, the channel of communication, intellect, and connection. The thumb represents universal consciousness, the higher self. By joining these 2 points, you are physically closing an energy circuit, declaring the intention to connect your individual mind with cosmic intelligence. Simply hold the gesture without tension. The second key is your breath, the bridge between mind and body. Let's use a simple, yet powerful, rhythm to calm the nervous system and force coherence between your heart and brain. Inhale gently through your nose, mentally counting to 4. Feel the air filling your lungs. Now, hold your breath for a count of 4, without forcing it. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth, also counting to 4. Continue this rhythm. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. This rhythm is the key that unlocks the door from your reactive state and leads you to a creative state. The third and final key is your focus, your imagination. While maintaining the gesture and the rhythm of your breathing, close your eyes. Now visualize a liquid light, a bright silver hue, like liquid mercury or the light of a full moon. See this light descending from the top of your head like a gentle, warm waterfall. Feel it flowing down your spine, cleansing and energizing your entire central axis. And then, direct this light so that it focuses on the palms of your hands, exactly where your fingers are touching. Feel the light pulsing there. Keep these 3 keys active for exactly 2 minutes. Gesture, breath, and visualization. While doing this, silently repeat in your mind a simple and direct command. I am clarity. I am action. Don't try to feel anything. Just observe. Observe what happens in your hands. A tingling, a feeling of warmth, a subtle pulsation. Observe what happens in your mind. A stillness, a sense of space, a clarity that wasn't there before. What you are feeling is not a suggestion or the power of your imagination. It's the physiological result of an electrical circuit you just intentionally closed. You used your breath to calm the turbulent waters of your mind, your gesture to create a point of focus, and your intention to direct the energy. You proved to yourself, on a physical level, that you can modulate your own internal state. What you felt is the frequency of clarity manifesting in your biology. And this sensation, this living proof, is just a small sample, a glimpse of what becomes possible when you learn not only to access this energy, but to capture it and make it your own, permanently. That sensation you experienced, the warmth or tingling in your hands, the stillness that settled in your mind, was not an isolated event. It was proof that you can, by your own will, access a frequency of greater coherence. But accessing is one thing, possessing is another. Now, let's take the most crucial step. Let's learn to go from contact to capture. Let's transform this volatile and fleeting energy into a permanent tool, an anchor you can use at any time to return to this state of clarity and power, no matter how chaotic the world around you may be. To do this, we will use a powerful technique that combines ancient wisdom with a modern understanding of the mind, something that neuro-linguistic programming calls anchoring. An anchor is simply a trigger, a physical or sensory stimulus that you intentionally associate with a specific mental state. By creating this association, you can fire the trigger whenever you want and instantly bring back the desired state. Let's now create your personal anchor for the frequency of clarity, your hand of Mercury. Return to the position from the previous test. Join the tips of your little finger and thumb again and resume the rhythmic 4-count breathing. Close your eyes. This time, instead of just visualizing the light, bring to mind a specific problem you are facing or a clear goal you want to achieve. Don't think about the solution. Just see the situation as it is now, perhaps as a dark and confusing sphere of energy in front of you. Feel its weight, its uncertainty, its complexity for a moment. Now, see again that same bright silver light descending upon that sphere of confused energy. But this time, see the light not just enveloping, but penetrating the sphere, like a universal solvent. Observe how the light begins to organize the chaos, to untangle the threads, to illuminate the dark corners. See the confusion transforming into order, the problem transforming into a solution, the darkness transforming into crystalline clarity. Continue breathing as you observe this transformation, feeling the energy shift from heavy to light. When the sphere is completely transformed into a ball of pure, clear, and organized light, begin to visualize it decreasing in size. With the power of your mind, see it contracting, becoming denser and brighter, until it is the perfect size to fit in the palm of your right hand. Feel the magnetic attraction as it moves towards your hand, and then, at the exact moment you feel the sphere of light land in your palm, clench your fist tightly. Clench your hand as if you were physically crushing and capturing that light, fusing it with your own flesh and bone. This act of clenching your fist tightly is your anchor. It's a physical and unequivocal command to your nervous system. A statement that says, "This state of absolute clarity now belongs to me. It's stored here in my hand, and I can access it whenever I want." Keep your fist clenched for a few seconds, feeling the pulse, the warmth, the energy contained there. You're not just imagining, you're programming your neurology. You've just created a physical trigger for a peak mental state, and with this capture, the caduceus map within you is no longer just being read. It's being activated in a way that will forever change how energy flows through you. The act of closing your hand, of capturing the light, was much more than a simple symbolic gesture. It was the catalyst. It was the moment when the energy, which was previously an abstract concept you were trying to grasp, became a real and tangible current flowing through your system. The anchor you created is not just a mental trick. It's a switch that turns on a circuit that was off. This is the true awakening of the inner caduceus. The energy you anchored in your hand now has a clear path to follow, and it begins to reshape how your own biology functions. The two serpents, the opposing currents of your nervous system that previously lived in a state of war or unstable truce, now begin to dance. The paralysis that comes from doubt, that internal conflict between what your logic says and what your intuition feels, begins to dissolve. The energy of action and the energy of rest find a point of equilibrium, not a static equilibrium, but a dynamic and powerful flow. You feel a new capacity to act decisively, but without the anxiety and haste that previously accompanied your movements. And at the same time, you discover an ability to rest deeply without the guilt or restlessness that previously haunted you. This harmonized energy is not contained. It begins to rise. It flows through the central axis of your spine, the staff of the caduceus, no longer blocked by knots of muscle tension, memories of trauma, or unconscious fears that previously acted as dams. With each conscious breath, you feel this current rising, clearing the path, until it finally reaches the brain. And this is where the miracle happens. The wings of the caduceus, which were previously closed, begin to open. This is the blossoming of superconsciousness. The state where clarity is no longer something you seek, but something you are. In this state, communication between different parts of your brain becomes almost instantaneous and incredibly coherent. Science calls this gamma coherence, a brain state associated with peak performance, profound insights, and a sense of unity with everything. Your intuition and your logic cease to be adversaries and become inseparable partners. You receive an intuitive insight, a feeling about something, and your logical mind, instead of dismissing it, immediately begins to devise a plan to put it into practice. You gain a perception of reality that is both panoramic and detailed. You begin to think not only with your head, but with every cell of your body. The duality that fragments us, the separation between mind and body, between thought and feeling, begins to collapse into a unified experience of being. The knowledge of Thoth, the wisdom of the architect, ceases to be an idea you read somewhere and becomes an embodied skill, a living wisdom that expresses itself not only in what you say, but in how you move, in how you look, in every gesture you make. Your presence begins to have weight, a different quality, and the hand that captured the light, the hand that now holds the anchor to this state of being, is no longer just a hand. It has been calibrated, it has been tuned, it has become the physical extension of your unified mind and your clear will. It is no longer subject to the tremors of doubt or the hesitation of fear. It is ready to become the tool that executes, on the material plane, the projects that your higher consciousness is now capable of conceiving. It is ready to become the hand of Mercury, the hand of Mercury, the power of perfect execution. This is the moment your entire journey has been preparing you for. It's the climax, the point where the promise becomes lived reality. It is here that the name of the frequency, the hand of Mercury, ceases to be a poetic concept and transforms into your new way of operating in the world. The hand which perhaps trembled with uncertainty or felt heavy with inertia now becomes the direct physical extension of your focused will. It becomes the perfectly calibrated instrument of your clear intention, the end point of a circuit that begins in the silence of your consciousness and ends in concrete action. Procrastination, that monster that feeds on confusion, fear, and inner conflict, simply loses its power. It no longer has anything to feed on. When the mind is clear and the nervous system is in balance, there is no more room for paralyzing hesitation. In its place, an ability to execute emerges that is simultaneously precise, strategic, and surprisingly light. Action ceases to be a struggle, a painful effort against invisible resistance, and becomes a flow, a graceful dance with circumstances. Imagine this: you have an idea, a clear thought about something that needs to be done. And without internal debate, without negotiating with laziness or fear, your hand simply moves and executes. You decide, and your body obeys instantly. There is no longer a chasm between intention and action. This is the true power of the scribe of your own reality. You are not trying to control the world with brute force, but you are controlling yourself with such mastery that the world, like a reflection in a mirror, seems to reorganize itself to facilitate your path. your communication also transforms. The words that come out of your mouth gain a new weight, a new power of persuasion, not because you've learned manipulation techniques, but because they now emanate from a place of absolute coherence and truth. People, on a subconscious level, sense the congruence between what you say, what you feel, and who you are. This integrity is magnetic. The masks fall, and your authenticity becomes your greatest tool of influence, attracting the right people and opportunities into your life. Solutions to problems that once seemed like insurmountable mountains begin to spontaneously emerge in your mind. It's as if, by operating at a higher frequency, you gain access to a higher perspective, from where it's possible to see the patterns and connections that were previously invisible amidst the chaos. The hand of Mercury is exactly that. Your ability to act in the world with the penetrating wisdom of Thoth and the efficient speed of Hermes, transforming the raw potential of chaos into the elegant order of manifestation. Every project you start, every conversation you have, every decision you make becomes a brushstroke in a work of art that is your life. You stop simply reacting to circumstances and begin to create with them, using everything that happens as raw material for your expression. And this power, once you integrate it and recognize it as your own, does not lead you to arrogance, but to profound humility, for it reveals the most fundamental truth about your connection to the very fabric of the universe. The truth nobody told you about the universe. By mastering conscious action, by feeling the power of the hand of Mercury, you inevitably encounter one of the deepest and best-kept secrets of existence, a secret that Thoth encoded in his most famous text, the Emerald Tablet, with disconcerting simplicity. As above, so below, as below, so above. For millennia, this phrase has been interpreted as a philosophical metaphor. But the truth is far more literal and shocking. It is a law of the physics of consciousness. It means that your inner universe, your microcosm, is not merely influenced by the outer world. It creates it. Your thoughts, the quality of your emotions, the state of coherence of your nervous system, your biology as a whole are not just reactions to what happens to you. They are the cause. The world you experience out there is an exact reflection, a perfect mirror of what is happening in here. You are not simply living in the universe. You are the universe living and experiencing itself through an individual perspective. The frequency that detected you at the beginning of this journey is the resonance of that truth beginning to vibrate in your consciousness. By aligning your nervous system with the test and the anchoring, you weren't just feeling calmer or more focused. You were literally tuning your instrument, your microcosm, to the symphony of the macrocosm. You are aligning your personal vibration with the fundamental laws that govern creation. And when that tuning happens, the dynamics of your life change radically. You cease to be a passive recipient of circumstances, a leaf in the wind of fate, and become an active and conscious transceiver. You begin to understand that you are constantly emitting a vibrational signal to the universe through your state of being. And the universe, by its very nature, can do nothing but mirror that signal back to you in the form of people, situations, and events. If your signal is one of chaos and fear, life gives you more reasons to feel fear. If your signal is one of clarity and confidence, life opens doors you didn't even know existed. The most persistent illusion of the human condition, the idea that there is a real separation between the self and the world, begins to crumble. You realize that the wall between your inner and outer self is made of glass, and that you have always been looking at your own reflection. When this realization hits you, not on an intellectual level, but on a deep cellular level, you understand that the ability to manifest, to create your reality, is not a magic trick or a supernatural power. It is the natural and inevitable consequence of an internal system that has been intentionally and consciously aligned. This can be frightening at first, because it implies total responsibility. There is no one left to blame. But the fear soon gives way to an indescribable feeling of freedom. If you, through your state of being, have co-created your reality up to this point unconsciously, it means that now, consciously, you can begin to create a new reality. The power has always been with you. And recognizing this power is not the end of the journey, but the true beginning. It is the moment when you receive the pen and paper and are invited to become the author. The journey doesn't end with the first manifestation of power or the first glimpse of truth. In fact, that's where it truly begins. Activating the frequency of the hand of Mercury isn't like winning a trophy you place on a shelf and admire. It's like receiving a rare and precious musical instrument. It's now yours, But for it to produce a beautiful melody, it needs to be cared for, practiced, and above all, honored. You have become the scribe, and with this new identity comes the responsibility to write a story worthy of the tool entrusted to you. The mental clarity you can now access requires integrity. When you can see through the illusions and hidden motivations, both in yourself and in others, the temptation to use this insight for selfish gain may arise. The responsibility here is to use this clarity to bring more truth and transparency to the world, not to manipulate. It is to use your perception to heal, to unite, to build bridges where there were once walls, starting with your own inner world, being honest with yourself first. The ability to execute with precision, to manifest your intentions, requires purpose. When action becomes easy and fluid, it's crucial to have a guiding principle, a why that action is driven by. Without a greater purpose, the power of execution can become merely empty efficiency, creating things that neither nourish your soul nor contribute to the greater good. The responsibility here is to align your actions with your deepest values, ensuring that your hand is at the service of your heart and not just your ego. The power to communicate with clarity and magnetism requires compassion. When your words have the power to influence and persuade, it's crucial to remember that behind every pair of ears lies a human heart, with its own pains, fears, and hopes. The responsibility here is to use your voice not to dominate or diminish, but to inspire, to empower, to remind others of the light they carry within themselves. It's about speaking your truth, but always from a place of love and respect for the other person's journey. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. That much is clear. But it is equally important to understand that you are not a dictator of destiny either. You are a co-creator, a partner of the universe in the ceaseless dance of creation. You propose the melody with your intention and your state of being, and the universe responds with the orchestra. But the dance is performed by two. This understanding moves you from the arrogance of control to the humility of collaboration, a much more sustainable and true place of power. This frequency is now yours. Not as a possession you can lose, but as a state of being you must choose to cultivate each day. The practice of anchoring, conscious breathing, and silence are no longer exercises to achieve something. They become acts of maintenance, like tuning your instrument before a concert. And the final test, the great examination of your mastery, is no longer about feeling the frequency or proving its existence. It's about the quality of the music you choose to play with it. It's about what you decide to create. Your first conscious creation. Now, we arrive at the point where the road of theory meets the ground of practice. Power, to be real, needs to be used. It is, at this very moment, literally in your hands. The journey we have taken so far has not been to accumulate information, but to prepare the ground for this moment. Look at your right hand, the same hand you used to clench your fist and capture the light. Feel it. This hand is not the same as before. It is a terminal, a calibrated instrument connected directly to the clarity of your mind and the strength of your intention. Practice begins with small things to prove the big. Think now of a single small action you've been putting off. Something simple that would take less than 5 minutes to complete. It could be replying to that email stuck in your inbox, making that call you've been avoiding, tidying up a small drawer that's a mess, washing the dishes that are piling up in the sink. Don't choose something big and intimidating. Choose something small, concrete, and immediate. Simplicity is the key to this first step. Now, with that small action clearly in mind, close your right hand, clench your fist, activating the anchor you created. Take a deep breath, and feel that state of clarity and certainty you already know. Feel the absence of internal debate, the stillness behind the thoughts. Feel the energy of the decision concentrating in your hand. There is no doubt. There is no negotiation. There is only the serene certainty of the action to come. Keep your fist closed for a moment, savoring this feeling of contained and focused power. Now, open your hand, and at the exact moment your fingers open, move, stand up, and without the slightest hesitation, perform the action you have chosen. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just do it. Feel the fluidity of the movement, the absence of internal resistance. Observe how your body simply obeys the clear command that has been given. It's as if the distance between thought and action has disappeared. You are witnessing, in real time, the hand of Mercury in action, your first fully conscious creation. What may look like a small, ordinary action is actually a turning point. It's proof that real change has begun. You didn't just understand an idea, you lived it. You turned it into something real, something you felt and experienced. And that experience, that deep inner knowing of effortless action, can never be taken from you. It becomes a part of you, your new normal. From this moment on, you know it's possible. You know what it feels like, and you can return to that state whenever you decide. Awakening isn't about supernatural powers or predicting what comes next. It's much simpler and much deeper than that. It's in the way you wash the dishes with awareness, the way you write a message with clarity, the way you move through even the most ordinary moments with presence and quiet strength. You're no longer just searching for answers outside yourself. You've stepped into something greater. You've become the one shaping your experience from within. The energy is already in your hands. The connection is already alive. Now the question is no longer, what will happen to me? But what will I create next? And if this message resonated with you, if you feel it brought you value, consider supporting the channel through the link in the pinned comment. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful, independent content. We truly appreciate you being here and walking this path with us. Thank you.